what's so funny is black women is the most educated group of people in this country. But people don't even realize that though, because they be too fixated on us being ghetto looking. They think because we wear the long eyelashes or we wear the long weave or because we talk a certain type of way that we're not educated. No, we are versatile, baby. We talk like the way we talk is because that's how we was raised to talk, but we can switch up at any minute. See, that's where y'all be getting lost at, and y'all be thinking y'all educated. I'm sure get on this and look at me and say, oh, there's just another uneducated ghetto. Baby, I got 2 degrees, baby. I have a master's degree, okay? Yes, I'm very educated. I just get on it and like this because that's what I want to do. That don't make I promise you I'm way more educated than I act, okay? And then that's how y'all get lost in the sauce. Y'all be too fixated on how we look and how we sound, not even knowing educationally, we'll run circles around y'all.
When y'all gonna figure it out? And why y'all talk like that? Why do you talk like that? Like, why is, that's unbecoming of a woman to just talk like a straight up hood booger. Like it really is. And I don't know why y'all do it. I don't know who taught y'all that that was cute. The women that's around me, they don't talk like that. Like they just not hood. And it's not attractive, it's not dope, it's not cute, it's not none of that. So that's number one, because I don't believe that people can code switch as much as they really think that they can. Before we even get into the education part, because I really just got done doing a review video just a couple days ago about how over 300,000 black women is eliminated from their jobs. They've been removed from the workforce. Their diversity, equity, and inclusion degrees don't count anymore. So we gonna get to that in a second. But before we get to that, I don't believe that people can code switch as well as they think that they can. And usually what happens is you think that you're code switching, but the people that are listening to you know that you don't really talk the way that you're supposed to talk when you're pretending to talk like you're talking proper, if that makes any sense. Meaning that you still hood no matter where you go, no matter what workplace you're in and you participate in, and it's not valued. It's not valued by society. It's not valued by the culture. And listen, do what you want to do and be who you want to be. But let's be clear, if we're on the topic of education, then we have to talk like we have some sense. Now, when it comes to this whole, you know, I got 2 degrees thing, and I want to break this down line by line and section by section. And I always like to give credit to the content creator, regardless of whether I agree with them or not. So that link will be down in the description. And then make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description also, so we can get this money together. But when it comes to you just being educated, a lot of y'all, and I know a lot of people, women specifically, that are highly educated, meaning that they have advanced degrees. A lot of times they have a master's degree, and most of them at this point have some form of an associate's or a bachelor's degree. Often at times it's in a field of study that is irrelevant in a culture, and it can range anywhere from African American studies, liberal arts, dance, to underwater basket weaving. Who knows? But I hear women say this a lot. And the thing that I always lead with to help them to see it a little bit differently as a C student myself is, and where did that get you? What did it translate into? When I was in school and when I went to college, I knew that the thing that I was going to college for was the thing that I was already doing. But in order for me to open up certain doors and get to certain levels within corporate America, I had to have a degree. That was the minimum barrier to entry. And I had went on several different interviews. And one of them was for a company at the time called CompuWare. And it was right here in Campus Martius, Detroit. And they were literally on some, yo, I'm not sure if you can keep up with the recent college graduates and stuff like that. Long story short, eventually they came back after I had excelled in certain levels and I got educated or whatever. But the degree itself had nothing to do with my level of education as far as how I communicated, whether I knew if I was talking about this or that and how I could bridge the gap between two different people in two different disciplines. For example, you may have a product owner over here, you may have a software engineer over there, and the software engineers communicate a certain way. In order for you to really be able to bridge the gap, you need to understand both, right? My self-education, my level of understanding, my wisdom, my expertise in the field of study that I had, which was a software engineering. And so my point is just because you got a degree does not necessarily mean that you meet the criteria for what success is supposed to look like. So what does it translate into if you get a degree, but then you have, we going into the second part, rock with me, you have 50, 60, $70,000 in debt? Because I don't see the overly educated amount of women that you guys keep on trying to sell us. I see an extreme amount of debt from women that are begging, and that's one of the reasons why they vote blue so much, is because they're begging for a handout and that they looked for Biden to be able to forgive their student loans. And let's be clear, this is not just black women, but this is a black woman that is, you know what I'm saying, hitting us with this narrative. They are begging for student loan forgiveness. They talk about how in debt they are. They say how much they can't find a job. Again, I've emphasized in a previous reaction video and on a Millionaire Morning Show, I broke it down from the Business Insider report that over 300,000 black women have been removed from the workforce because they went and got these diversity, equity, and inclusion positions that didn't bring any value of substance. And a lot of times when they can't find a job, they went over and got one with the federal government because they thought that that was a safe space. But when Trump said that we got to do it based off of merit instead of being based off of diversity, equity, and inclusion, everybody got offended. And then I seen a few black women that said, well, y'all need to be scared of us because we coming into the private sector, and nobody got scared. Nothing changed. And I see women re-enrolling in school so that they cannot have their wages garnished from the federal government because now the student loans that you owe is on your credit report. And so I see all of these different things playing out. I see these women, they are the most evicted. I see them being the most repoed as far as a car going back. And I see women at the same time sitting there talking about how they need a provider man because they no longer want to compete in the workforce at the same rate that men are. Conversely, I don't see men complaining, whining about getting laid off. And if they do get laid off, they just hustle up and they get it and they go and get a different position. And I see more of these guys actually going into trades, and then the men that are educated, most of them go into a field of study or discipline, civil engineering, mechanical engineering. You know, I even see guys going in to be nurses. And so I see guys making moves and you know, doing the things that it takes in order to survive while at the same time taking care of their families. But then I see these different women that get on here with their bonnets and their nose rings and their septum rings, and they talk about how educated they are, but their inability to make a smart decision even on their own behalf, let alone for their children. And we know the most craziest decision that y'all can make is probably to break up your household, but y'all keep doing that. They're unable to make a wise decision using all of this education that they got. And so that leads me to believe that the only thing that you got was a piece of paper from a country when you say that you don't really rock with the system in order to validate yourself, which is really, really weird to me. And so I am over it. And the most unattractive thing that you can do besides wearing a bonnet on the screen and talking shit, like you say, is leading with your education because nobody gives a fuck. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. And I'm going to show you how to really get this money. Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, 20% off of life. Thank you, Teach, for continuing to rock with us again. Always like to link back to the content creator. That link will be in the description of the video. I love y'all.